Okay, this video is female matchmakers are back in style, and I actually really think there is a need for female matchmakers. Women are just better at social stuff than men are. Okay, so where is this coming from? I've had more and more young men telling me they can't find a good woman, okay? I literally have doctors telling me, how can I help them find women for their buddy friends? And these are men, I would say, from the ages of, let's say, 18 to 36, okay? They're having a hard time finding women, which surprised me, actually. Another thing is men do not want to get married. The young guys are totally different. When I was young, I saw how happy my parents were. It was guaranteed I was going to find a woman and support her. I was looking forward to it. I was sort of annoyed at myself for being such a workaholic and delaying the whole process. Okay, well, anyways, now the way young men think is a lot of them seen their father, their uncle, or some other man in their social sphere being sold into slavery with divorce. And it's very unfair, the divorce system. 80% of divorces are filed by women. The system favors the woman. That's why they file most divorces. So the men don't want to get married. I mean, really, you're sold into slavery. You got to pay for a house that your wife lives in and screws around with some other guy. That's not fair, okay? And women will say, oh, yes, it is. But if you turned it around and told them they have to pay for a house that their ex-husband lives in and fools around with some other woman, they wouldn't be too eager for it. Okay, the other thing, let's see, what else am I hearing here? And by the way, I just showed this woman, like, what do men want? This is like what men want. They want a woman who's loyal to them. I'm having a hard time moving my picture. They want a woman who's loyal to them, who's thin, who's feminine. We like a woman to be feminine. Feminism and masculinity in a woman, it is not attractive at all. The most important thing, she wants to be partners with you, to raise a family and, to have a good relationship. She's got emotional self-control. She's not going to have an incredible hissy fit. Once in a while, a woman's going to have a hissy fit. That's to be expected. Maybe it's her menstrual cycle or something. But if she's too often hyper volatile, that's a woman to run in the opposite direction from. She's reasonable. Okay. Let's see what else comes up. Oh, the young men, like I said, they're not happy in general with the young women. But on the other hand, men like women much more than women like men. I think women in general think most men are kind of disgusting and a little bit scary. Feminism is ruining women, promiscuity, pop culture sort of promoting the idea that, your career is the most important thing rather than your family versus, you talk to almost any woman, 50 years of age and up, or younger than that, 45 and up, who's had a child. She's going to tell you her family almost always is a lot more important to her than her job and her career. Let's see. I mean, the big thing about a career for a woman is that sometimes it's a way for them to meet more men. Okay. The only reason my wife met me is because she was working in a hospital. Okay. Other than that, we wouldn't have never talked to each other. Lots of women, they got all kinds of problems. Lots of men got problems too. There's a very high incidence of sexually transmitted diseases in both men and women. There's tons of infertility in men and women. That is not recognized. I can assure you, the incidence of infertility is orders of magnitude much worse than people realize. And I think a lot of young women, they're tricked into this, your career is the important thing. And it's indirectly almost like a way to sterilize them because, the old joke is the smarter a woman is in school, the stupider she is in biology, in the sense that I know them. I know lots of women that you would think are just perfect catch for a wife. They're pretty female doctors, and they forgot to get married. They just forgot to get married. They're nice, they're pretty, they're smart, but they just were so focused on their career that they forgot to get married. I know other female doctors, they were so money-minded that all they focused on, because medicine just keeps you working. As soon as you finish residency and fellowship, then you want to join a private practice group, then you want to make partner, and you're just going to be working longer and longer hours, and you'll say to yourself, well, I'll have a baby maybe 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years. All of a sudden, you're 40 years old and infertile. I've seen that happen a lot. What else? What do men want? Like, this would be, for me, the perfect wife right here, okay? I wish I met her in real life and married her, all right? Internet is full of women. Then you say, well, it's not just the men complaining. The internet's full. Just go yourself. Watch these videos. There's tons of them. Internet is full of women saying they can't find a man. And women are a lot more fussy than men are. Men will be happy. They just get a woman who's not going to drive them crazy, who's loyal to them, who wants the same thing they basically want, to live in such and such a town, to have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 kids, whatever. And who they can trust. For men, the idea of the woman being loyal and honest with them is more important, I think, than it is for a woman. What I mean by that is the man basically makes himself a slave to the woman and the child. So he wants, to know that it's his kid, okay, that she's not cheating on him. So that's why they make a much bigger deal out of that. The woman knows it's her kid, so that's not a mystery for her. The other thing I see nowadays, there's almost no community. The Catholic school system, which used to be strong, is now when I was young, it's weak. The church is weak. And then jobs are not as social as they used to be. At jobs where both sexes work, fraternizing between the men and women is usually frowned upon. In all my career, I know one guy fooling around with the female staff, a male doctor, and he got in big trouble for it. So in general, I can tell you the male doctors I know, they would really not want to ever date a woman around where they work, because there's just a million hassles involved in it, and they've seen some other guy do it. I know professors, dated a student or a PhD student, and they got in trouble. They got fired from their jobs. The way the big employers, a lot of these monopoly employers I've seen, it is strongly frowned on, men and women of the same place getting romantically involved. It just is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's a fact. That would be like I said, to the doctors I know myself, that would be unthinkable to get involved with a woman from your job place. It would just be far too dangerous. Okay, what should people do? I hear what most people recommend and say they do is they go on the dating apps, but then I hear all these people saying how they don't like the dating apps, they don't know who they're talking to, they don't know if it's a man or a woman, they can't trust them, etc. And then women also tend to have unrealistic expectations. There's this common meme going around saying women want 666s. They want the guy to be 6 feet tall or more, have a six-figure income, and have six-pack abs. There's not that many guys like that. And the ones that are like that, they've already got 3 to 5 girlfriends. And even though I think women have superior social skills by far than men do, one of the things I've noticed is women don't seem to be able to tell when they're going out with a guy that has 3, 4, or 5 girlfriends. And like I said, I've had the experience of having some guy friends that were like that. And sometimes they would have me hold their pagers and stuff. And they would get all these calls from these women. And the women didn't seem to notice. And I didn't like holding those pagers. So what I'm trying to say is, that kind of surprised me, but that's true. That women don't seem to get it. So these guys, and they can just snap their finger and a woman will throw herself at their feet. So they're not going to try too hard. Why would they want to get attached to one when they can have whatever they want? On the other hand, I know a real good-looking, tall male doctor who got divorced and because his wife cheated on him sort of randomly. And then what he did was, in 1 year, he went from one woman to another. He slept, he said, with 8 women. And on the woman number 8, he said to himself, he realized, he was never going to find what he wanted and that he better just get married, because he knew if he kept fooling around, he'd end up getting a venereal disease. Okay, my OB-GYN friends say, the incidence of sexually transmitted diseases is off the charts, as well as infertility. So what am I going through all this for? I think female matchmakers are needed because there's no community. They're not bumping into each other automatically. They're, for whatever the reason, not that happy with the dating apps. I think female matchmakers could make things work. It would have to be a woman who proved herself reliable, a little bit older probably, because a woman with good social skills, good communication skills, can talk well to men and women and get to the truth. Do they really match what each other wants? Could at least initiate the process. There's always going to be the individual chemistry between the people, but I actually think there's a real need for this, because I see tons. They call the men incels, involuntary celibates. Tons of them. Tons of them. Nice guys, good guys, whatever, lots of good qualities, okay? And I don't know women as well, because I don't talk to women that much. But the little bit that I know women and what I see on the internet, the women are quite frustrated with the situation as well. So anyways, that was the point of this lecture. The female matchmaker as a job or a person, I think there's going to be a big future for that. I see it because I see all these frustrated people.